The real basics of how to do a compression check on a car. I'm sure there's no videos out there, so we're not going to get too elaborate. All you need to do is take all the spark plugs out, compression gauge. I like this one because it's got quick release. So you can take it out, and you get this little hose to spin, and then get the right adapter on there. Put it down the spark plug hole. You have to have all the plugs out. Otherwise, you're not going to get an accurate reading, anywhere close to an accurate reading. It doesn't have to be precise per se, but close. And the engine will turn over quicker. So see, this has got this little quick disconnect. I got this at Sears years ago. Maybe it's a Sun Pro brand. And now we're going to crank the car. Generally, you want to floor it because that shuts off the gas, I guess, sometimes. And it also lets all the air in. You want as much air as possible. Make sure you got a good charged battery. Currently we got a charger on here just to make sure. We're having some issues with this car. We did a leak down test. We're double checking the compression test. And this is what you call a dry because we put no oil down the cylinder. And we're going to see what we get. And what you do is only want to crank it a few times, like 20 to 30 seconds. You want to crank it about 4, 5, 6 times. The longer you crank it, the more compression you will build. That's pretty much, I don't know what they call exactly, but like false compression. Analogy is this snowblower. You got almost no compression, but you got the electric start. And you crank it the heck out of it for about 30 seconds a minute. It will start. It will build what they call static compression. So now it's running. But you go put it through some snow, try to move some snow, it'll die out because it doesn't have any power. So this case, I've already checked all the other cylinders. This one is about 110, 100. They all need to be with 10% of each other. So 10% of 120, you just move the decimal point, is 12. So we're close. And this being 120 is 100. It's not really good. So this could be our issue, and the next test you have to do is a wet test. We'll show you how to do that real quick. A wet test, all you're going to do is get some oil. Cheap oil is fine, whatever oil you got. Stick the funnel down the hole. Stick a little oil down there. This is just the basics. Kind of angle the thing up. Let's see if we can do that. See a little bit better. And all I'm going to do is stick some oil down the funnel. Angle it. Sorry about this. Oops, probably way too much oil we put down there. I don't care. A couple drops of oil is pretty much all you need. Let's take the funnel out. This one I just disconnect, a quick disconnect. It actually releases the pressure. It's got a pressure button. Almost all of them have a pressure button to release the pressure. Stick the fitting down the cylinder, twist it. That's why I like these, you can twist them. They don't have the gauge stuck on there, it gets in the way. Twist it. Make sure the pressure is released by pressing that, or once you disconnect this one, pressure is automatically released. And then put the gauge here. I don't know how well you can see it, but we'll move. There we go. Now make sure you hold the vehicle floor when you crank it. That helps a little bit more with the readings. And you just need to crank it a couple times, same as the other thing. We went up to 280. So check out the other cylinders. You're checking dry versus, when you fill it full of oil. Let's see how that goes. And then press. Oh, I've never had that much compression in one of these things. And then just release your compression. Try the next one. And then you can look on the internet for what the difference is between the two compressions. What that tells you how much is getting by in the cylinders. And if the dry and the wet is a big difference, then you got a problem. In this case, we probably do. Could be rings, and that could be where our burning thing is. So I've already checked all the other ones for the dry. They were all 120, really close to it. Put a little oil in number 2, just a little this time. We won't go overboard. Give it a couple seconds to drop down. Now we can move the funnel number 3. Let it start putting a little oil down there. Oh no, I don't want to put no oil down there yet. Second crank. You can try to get some oil, put that in there, screw it into number 2. Well, screwdriver's there because we were doing finding top dead center before. Put the gauge in there. Put it in there. Now dry we had about 120. And this supposedly is not good for this car. Somebody said, so to look it up on the internet what's good. And then we'll crank it with the pedal floored, see what it does. You only want to crank it a couple seconds. So that tells us we have a problem with that other cylinder. This is 150 thereabouts in this cylinder. Let's pause it so I can make it go a little quicker while I put the other cylinder. Now we're going to do cylinder number 3, wet test. Cylinder number 3 is about 130. It's going to be hard to see, but it is pretty much 130. Let's go put a little more oil down 4 and do that. Pause. Okay, we got oil down number 4. I'm going to redo number 1. I think I put way too much oil down it. I'm going to double check it after that. And make sure you write these down as you go because you're going to forget. And it's not going to be fun. So try to redo it again and again. So cylinder number 4, the wet test. And I'll just leave it upside down, you can see. There it is. Okay, let's see what we got. Oh, 140. Now we'll check our hypothesis about number 1 having way too much oil. That's our weaker cylinder too. So we're just going to put a little bit of oil down there. You're not going to cause a problem too. Just a couple drops of oil. Let it sit down there. Get down there for a minute. Last thing is you can let it drip all over the place. Stick it in another cylinder while you're doing this test, and it won't make a mess. And that pop was I didn't release the compression. Everything is an air hose. Now we twisted it in, tuck it out. I also had enough time to sit in the cylinder. Connecting up the gauge, and we'll see what it runs. Hopefully it won't be no 270. And 270 again. So my hypothesis about putting too much oil in the cylinder, or a little bit too much, doesn't seem to affect the wet test. And putting less oil seems to be about the same results. So cylinder 1 we get about 110 psi dry, and we got 270 wet. So that tells us we have an issue. Now I'm not going to show. Now I'm not going to know how well it's going to show up, but this is a site called Free Study Guides, or ASEstudyguides.com. So we were looking off of this, telling you the wet will tell you if there's any issues or bad valves or worn compression. This is a tablespoon of oil. And if you perform a wet compression test, if a substantial increase is noticed, most likely worn piston rings. So after running the first test, squirt a tablespoon of oil into the cylinder, rotate the crankshaft 6 times, which we did about, and piston rings. We don't have burned valves, so you can see this real quick if you need to pause it. Valve timing, hole in piston, carbon built up. But we have no leaking. We actually built compression, so we got a ring problem. And it could be, I was told by a machine shop, stuck oil ring, especially with these cheaper oils nowadays that are missing some of those chemicals to clean and additives. We've been running synthetic for the past 6 years. The better synthetic too, and the better filters. I do let it go for the time you can change the oil, though. I do that, but the oil comes out clean. And I changed the oil pan recently because it was rusted out a couple weeks ago, and it was clean in the inside oil pan. The valley pan was clean, camshafts are clean, so it's definitely looks like a stuck or worn out oil ring can cause all this stuff, or rings. So this car has about had it. And the symptoms why I've been doing the compression check and leak down test is when you floor the car or try to keep it over, say 60, 65, let's say, you have to give it a little bit more gas, and if you're going over a little 65, then it will let out a smoke storm and smoke everybody on the road really bad. And just started happening. I towed a little heavy load one time recently, and that might have been it. Or this car is just 15 years old with 155,000 on a 4-cylinder, but it had towed a full engine and transmission on the back of it a couple weeks ago too. So hope this gives you an idea. If you like it, give me a like. Sorry to make it long, but I'm trying to explain it and show exactly what's really involved in so close to real time as possible.